Hi everyone, my name is Vadim, and this is my colleague Richard.
Hi.
Today we're going to go through actually ad disapprovals. Ad disapprovals is quite a hot topic right now, and we have a lot of questions actually on a weekly basis about why ads are disapproved. So Richard's going to talk through some of the key points about 4 different channels that we have: search, display, YouTube, and Gmail. And we're also going to look at how the ads are reviewed, what's the process like for sensitive ads, non-sensitive ads, and we're also going to look at what are the usual problems that we experience with the landing page. So we're going to look at the most common themes. So we're not going to cover all the themes, but it's just going to give you a brief overview of what you should look at. So let's dive into it.
Cool. So the main idea really is, as Vadim said, just giving you a bit of an understanding of the main reasons why ads get disapproved, how to check why they are disapproved, and basically just letting you know what you can do even before you reach the stage of disapprovals. So the title of this talk is Overview of Ad Reviews and Most Common Ad Disapprovals. We've selected these just from our experience, our conversations with agencies and clients as well. So
yeah, let's dive into it. Let's have a look.
So our agenda for today, so ad reviews and what to expect, search ad disapprovals, Google Display Network ad disapprovals, Gmail sponsored promotions disapprovals, and YouTube ad disapprovals. You'll see similar themes with some of them, but some of the platforms, their requirements are a little bit unique, and we'll dive into those. So ad review process and what to expect. So usually ads are reviewed within 24 hours for non-sensitive ads. Sensitive ads might take a little bit longer than 24 hours to be reviewed. And
what are the usually, Richard, then my question I guess from my side is, what are the reasons why it might sometimes take more than 24 hours?
In terms of sensitive ads?
Yeah, in terms of sensitive ads, yeah.
So especially sensitive ads, they're actually reviewed a lot more thoroughly just to check if they meet AdWords policies. As well, it's in-depth look at the website and then the ads that are pointing to the website as well.
Okay, let's go.
Yep. So basically, there are some things you can do as well. So what we're suggesting is please get in touch with your AdWords support team in cases when non-sensitive ads are being reviewed for more than 24 hours and sensitive ads are being reviewed for more than 48 hours. So these would be the timelines I would I would kind of like guide by. And yeah, if it does get a little longer than that, just let us know right away by giving us a call or sending us an email. So then once the ads are reviewed, they will have a you will see on the ad status if they have been approved or they have been disapproved. And then
what's the eligible status then?
So eligible is that they're eligible for being reviewed in a sense. Yep, and that's kind of like the third stage, which is right in the middle.
So that they will potentially run if it says it's eligible.
Yes.
That's cool.
And yeah, that's so that's kind of like these kind of main things. So we'll move on to the next slide. Yep. So search ad disapprovals. So one of the most common things that's coming up is editorial and professional standards. So what does that even mean? So quite often we see ads with wrong punctuation. So this could be 2 exclamation marks in the headline, or basically just over punctuation and using symbols that they shouldn't be using.
So I guess the example here that I get with the clients is that in the description line 1, description line 2, you'll be using a lot of dots or commas in there, which is actually not allowed. So you can use one symbol of one particular type. So either a question mark, 1 exclamation mark, or 1 dot in the ad.
So yeah, in a sense, just keeping the ad copy nice and clean and not doing kind of gimmicky stuff. Then the next point is 1 display URL per ad group. So this one does come up sometimes. So in a single ad group, you can have only one display URL. Where sometimes clients do get surprised is if, let's say, they had an ad group and they were advertising a domain previously, and let's say half a year down the line, they choose that ad group to advertise a different URL. Mm-hmm. So even if you pause or remove the ads, it will still be tied to that ad group. And just make sure when you're creating ads that you're using one URL. Mm-hmm. So do you have anything to add for?
No, that's pretty. I guess that's pretty basic. If you're going to, I guess, capitalization, some of the Latvian, particularly clients, and also Lithuanian clients, some of the brands come with capital letters, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, in most cases, that's not actually allowed to have that in the ad. So you will have to have your brand in lower letters, where you can actually have your first letter being the capital letter. Just like we're writing Riga or Vilnius, you could write with the capital R or with the capital V. So you can exactly do this with the other words in the search text as.
Yep. So just in addition to that, there can be some exception cases where the brand uses capitalization throughout let's say the website itself, and if it's a registered trademark, for example, then that's something that's absolutely fine. In this kind of case, just get in touch with us if you're a client that has a situation like that, or you have a client that's in a similar situation, or
you are the client.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, just get in touch with us, because we will have to file an exception for your particular account to use that capitalization. But in most of the cases, you wouldn't be able to use unless it's a brand, really.
Yep. So yeah, the next point is phone number in the ad text. So this is it's especially for new advertisers. They don't know where to put the phone number with their ads, so they just paste it in the ad text. So one, it adds very little value in a sense. It's not usable. I'll explain in a moment why. Yeah, this can be kind of disapproved for editorial and professional standard. So where phone numbers should actually go is ad extensions. So ad extension will give you the functionality, the functionality to give you a call if they're looking from their mobile phone, and you have basically the space in your text ad to provide more information about the service or the product you're actually advertising.
Why should the user really click on the ad and buy, I guess, the product in the first place? So yeah,
or give you a call if you only provide them one description line of what the product is. So the main idea is just things have their places where you can add them in search ads, use them, and structure them in the right way.
So what you would add, I guess, the phone number. What do you add?
As a call extension.
As a call extension, yeah. So that will be under the Ad Extensions tab, where you can see on the slightly lower down to the left, there's different types of extensions. You'll have to click on the drop-down menu, click on Call Extensions, and you will see there's a red button, and then you can add your phone number. And then again, as with the rest of the ads, it will take up to 24 hours to get reviewed, and then your phone will be seen. So your phone number will be seen on the right-hand side of the ad. So yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, cool. So the next point is trademark policy. So again, not too often, but it sometimes does come up, and it's something that at first advertisers might not be sure. But basically, what we look at is the trademarks used in your ad text itself. So let's say if you're using a trademark term like this could be WordPress or something like that. Then the system will see that you're using these words that have trademark filed to them. So there's actually two different ways you can look at it. You could be an advertiser that has a trademark that other advertisers are using, or you might be interested in using someone else's trademark. This is especially common for retail clients that have big brands, like Samsung or anything else. And trademark policy does also kind of these words fall into trademark policy. So yeah.
So what do you have to do then, I guess, if you do have I don't know, if you, let's say, registered your trademark with the Latvian authority, Is there anything that you have to do in terms of AdWords so that no other account can use your trademark?
Sure. So yes, there are some things that you need to do. Google does not automatically kind of keep tabs on registered trademarks in the country. So if you don't let us know, we don't know. So the best place to go actually is if you go to AdWords Help Center, and if you're a trademark owner, just search trademark for owners, and you will have the specific steps that you need to follow. And this is basically just a request, and that goes to the policy and trademark team that review your application, and then gives you a verdict if this is a valid trademark, and then only your account will be able to use the specific trademark or whoever you wish to give this access to.
Yeah. So then no other advertiser or no other AdWords account will be able to use your trademark. Cool. So let's now look at the Google Display Network and what are the most common issues that we experience over there.
Okay. So one of the most common ones is editorial and professional standards, which is a kind of classification. Under that, there are a few things that fall under. So first one is no logo, brand name, or URL in the image ads. So this is more of a clarity and relevance type of situation. So when you have an image ad, the person needs to know where they're going. And this can be communicated via a logo, a brand name, or a URL. So just pictures without any kind of information, they will be disapproved because there's no information for the person to know where they're actually going and where they will actually visit and what is the relevance of that ad to them.
Yeah, so I agree with that. So imagine in your own shoes, like you look at the ad and you're like, wow, the picture looks nice. What is that business about? Like, what's the URL, where I'm going to? You don't know. So we want to make sure that the user knows where he's going to. He knows what the business might be about, so he can have some sort of correlation, because we don't want to have any sort of redirects in there and all that. So we just want to make sure that the user knows where he's going to land. So that's why you want to make sure that landing page of your brand is very much visible. So you can't hide it in the banner anyway, but so it has to be visible to the user.
And would you like to also follow up to the next point, the HTML5 upload issues?
Yes. So also, as you know, we are going over to HTML5 from Flash to HTML5, where we slowly but surely are using Flash ads less and less. So we're going to be making sure that you are uploading in the future only HTML5 ads, and it becomes slightly tricky because it's some people sort of know how to produce HTML5 ads, so we get some errors in AdWords account when the advertiser or the agency uploads the ad. So there are specs in the Help Center to look at how to produce the HTML5 ad. Most common kind of issues are that advertisers sometimes just produce the HTML5 file, but it has to be in a zip file, and then that zip file has to be uploaded into the account for the system to review or to accept the file and approve hopefully the ad. So we will, in the description below in the video, we'll attach a file just for you to look at how to create HTML5 banner ads, because we're slowly kind of getting rid of the Flash ads. As you might know, there's a deadline. Sorry, not a deadline. There is a cutoff kind of date when the Flash ads will disappear, and we're only going to be having HTML5 ads. And the reason is that the HTML5 ads are slightly more user-friendly, as it doesn't overload the machine that the user is using, and it just makes the whole browsing experience a lot faster.
And in addition to that, as Vadim said, we'll add some links in the description below. As well, there is a website available that we'll add at the bottom as well that gives you basically ready-made templates, and you can specify the specific dimensions and what kind of functionality you want to have in that HTML5 ad. And it will just basically give you a blank slate that you can, a template that you can fill out and add additional information. So if you're a creative agency, that's super useful and makes things a lot more easier for you.
Exactly. So I usually refer to Google Web Designer. So that tool is free of charge. So you can actually download it and actually create your HTML5 ads that are actually AdWords friendly. So this particular tool, which is free, has been optimized for AdWords specs.
Cool. So let's move on to the next point. So yeah, trick to click. So that's quite important here. So trick to click, in a sense, it's basically mimicking functionality of the banner. So things like a space where it prompts you to enter something. So this could be just kind of entering information or your phone number, and it gives you that perception that you can click on it and enter information without going to the website itself. But once you engage with the ad, it actually forwards you to the URL without actually giving you the ability to do what it was trying to visually communicate.
So is this deceiving, I guess, the user that there is a particular functionality with the ad, but now actually there is no functionality with the ad. So it was a trick to make the user actually click on the ad. And of course, that results in high CTRs. But this is not something that we're looking at. I mean, we're looking at this particular issue as well. So making sure that our advertisers are not trying to trick the users to click on the ad. I mean, you can add particular elements that makes the banner very appealing. But in terms of flash elements, I guess, that you can integrate those, there has to be, again, I guess it can't be excessive use of those elements in there.
So in just a few words, in a sense, just don't, you shouldn't try to mimic functionality. It should be very clear what things do in the ad and why they are there. So another example is if you have a banner and in the middle of a banner, you have like a video play button. And that would visually signal that if you click on that button, you'll start to play a video. But actually just takes you to the website. So again, it's something that mimics the functionality.
Yeah.
Then the next one is excessive flashing. So again, this is quite important because we strive to make the ads not obtrusive and also easy to look at. There have been cases where like a very excessive flashing has been added. It could be a button, it could be the whole banner. So there are specific requirements as well, how much you can flash if it is flashing and when it has to stop. Do you have any kind of more comments?
Well, yeah, I guess excessive flashing also relates to that. If you look at sort of history of advertising, flashing can lead to epilepsy, right? So this is something that we're trying to minimize. We're trying to make sure that there is no excessive flashing. I mean, you have to stand out with your banner, but excessive flashing is not the answer. So the answer, I guess, will be to make sure you are creative, that you think through how you can make the user appealing, and you are there for the user with a particular ad at the right moment and place, rather than trying to utilize excessive flashing and trick to call elements.
Cool. So the next point that we have.
Yeah. So the next point is what we have right now is actually shocking content. So with shocking content, there is a particular content, I guess, if you're thinking of paintball or, for example, airsoft. If you are, let's say, this type of advertiser, and where you just like to, I guess, showcase, I don't know, paintball guns or airsoft guns. So this is sort of classified under the shocking content. Or I don't know, if you're a surgeon, right? If you like to just showcase your work in sort of visual elements, that can be shocking to quite a big audience. With these particular ads fall under sort of usually sensitive category, and to minimize that, you want to make sure that you're not trying to shock the user, but actually be, what would we say, Richard? I guess you're trying to be a bit slightly more discreet with how you are portraying in the banner ads the elements that you want really the user know about, and make him really click on your banner ad. So you can't shock him. So don't try to put shocking kind of images on the banner ad.
So yes, just following up on that, it's because ads, especially in Google Display Network, and all of the ads have specific classifications. So on display, only family-friendly ads will be shown. So it's just something you can think about. You know, the words family-friendly, and that's just something to think about if, let's say, your ad is disproved for shocking content. This, in a sense, yeah, it's really just trying to, again, maybe trick to click in the sense that, you know, something that really just is is grabbing the attention. This could be blunt. This could be any kind of these things. So it's quite important just to watch out for those. I don't think we've had too many cases of this, but it does
pop up time to time.
From time to time,
and it's usually under Google Display Network, and also it can be visible as well in the YouTube videos, which is going to discuss later on. So the next bullet point, I guess, here is unrealistic promotions.
Yeah. So this is actually one of the more, I'd say, more common kind of issue that comes up, but not in a kind of determined way that advertisers are deliberately creating unrealistic promotions. It's just the way the policy is formed and the way the communication you can do with the client, in a sense. So unrealistic promotions would really go into claims that you're making, usually either on the banner or on the website itself. So unrealistic promotion, let's say lose 20 kilograms in 3 days, or any kind of specific claims of specific results that you can achieve. The main idea behind it is you can't guarantee, right? Because there could be different people, there could be specific conditions for those results to appear, as well as it is more beneficial from the advertiser's side as well to be very careful with the claims they make. Let's say if you guarantee a specific result and a person becomes your client, and can you guarantee, like, if something does go wrong or if they don't follow the specific guidelines, and let's say they don't receive the results, you've misled them in a way as well.
So we see that a lot, I guess, in the display ads, particularly because a lot of people trying to, let's say, convince a user or guarantee to a user particular results through visual images. So we would see that slightly more often in the display network rather than in any other networks. So if you are trying to convince the user, promising, let's say, to a user particular results for a particular time frame, that's not something that we would be supporting through our policies. But here, I guess, it's also important to make sure that the user can, let's say, achieve these results rather than where you guarantee. And so always have at the end a disclaimer so that the results may vary. You can get generic disclaimers online. A lot of websites use these disclaimers quite regularly, and this is as a minimum that we'd like to see at the bottom of the page. And for any sort of claim that you're making where a user might benefit from this particular program or something like that, then you should have an asterisk next to that particular claim. So it's a must, and that asterisk has to be linked to the disclaimer at the bottom of the page.
So yeah, in the sense, the disclaimers would really be, like, disclaimers won't work with results kind of claims, specific things. Disclaimers are needed if you have general claims. So something that's not very specific, and then the disclaimer says, results may vary person to person. Or if you have any kind of reviews where people mention results and things like that, it's kind of, yeah, some pages have these kind of like customer success stories. And again, just letting you know, results may vary, as the customer stories will also suggest. So just understanding the difference between specific claims and general claims, and also where a disclaimer fits in there. Disclaimers need to be prominent. They can't be hidden. They need to be in the same font. In a sense, basically just being very honest with the client, what you do and how it works. A really good kind of explanation that I was given by one of our policy teams in these kind of scenarios where ads have been disapproved for unrealistic promotions is maybe focus more on the process, what you're actually offering, instead of the results you're actually offering. The product, the service, and that's actually the best way because a person knows what they should expect and how it all works. Yeah.
So also, I think in a way is what we also discussed a lot with some of our advertisers is what is the business model behind when a user enters your site. So what are you actually offering? Because as well, in a lot of cases that we see is when a user enters a site, the user can't buy anything. So what is actually happening? So on the site, what will the user get out of it? And also in the sense is that you're paying money for advertising, right? We want to see that what is the path for the user further on? What's the conversion like? So how are you? What's your return on investment here? Where are you benefiting from our advertising? There has to be a clear business model as well for us to see. So this is what also falls under unrealistic promotions as well.
So like following up on that, let's say there could be a case where you say, you know, something is for free, and when a person, let's say, gives you an email and wants this free service, and then you suddenly say, well, actually it costs money, right? You're not being upfront about the whole kind of journey. So of course, you know, it is looked case by case as well, and the specific with these specific policies and how they're met. But again, just being honest, clear with the person, with what you do and what they should expect.
Yeah. So in this type of cases, if you're offering something for free and that you know that you're gonna trying and following up on this user that he should be kind of paying at the end of his trial period or whatever, then you should give him that option in the beginning to buy the product in the first place.
Or just let him know that something like that is also there at the end.
Yeah, that will happen with him. So he might get a message, a prompt saying, hey, your time's run out, I guess, on the trial period, and there's the next version coming up for which you will have to pay. Cool. So the next one that we have up is Gmail sponsor promotions. And yeah, so let's dive into it. So because Gmail is slightly different, it's a different network. It's slightly also what I would call slightly more sensitive and personal. So also the policies are here slightly different. So in terms of policies as well, again, as you see, editorial and professional standards, this is the #1 category that we always face in our team. So punctuation, right? So just like we described with the text ads, you can't use way too many commas, you know, exclamation marks and so on. But also at the end of each sentence, you can't actually put a dot or exclamation mark or a question mark. So that is something that's against the policy. Also, the second one, which is very frequent as well. So a lot of advertisers would put their URLs in capital letters just because it looks slightly nicer when the user looks at your Gmail sponsor promotion. However, that's also not allowed. So you can't use the capitalization both for text and also display URLs. So capitalization, that's yeah, not allowed.
Just let me follow up on that. Punctuation. What we're usually seeing is actually in Gmail ads, the headline. And most often, advertisers put an exclamation mark in the headline. That's the most often kind of problem that we get with Gmail, this Gmail sponsor promotions disapprovals. And that's you can put it in other places, but the headline is the one that's really the main thing, and that's what shows up in when people are looking at their Gmails. And yeah, it's just that's like the most common thing. Capitalization, the same thing. You know, it's just making letters all capital just to grab that attention. It's not the right way to get attention. The best way to get attention is with informative headline, and just being very kind of clear with what you do.
And what's your unique selling point, I guess, as well.
So, and then Gmail sponsored ads additional policy, kind of on sensitive ads. Maybe you'd like to follow up on that?
Yeah, so Gmail actually has additional policies that, where my advice would be actually, if you are planning to advertise in Gmail, go to the Gmail Help Center, and actually there are all the policies that relate to advertising. So there like if you have if you are in a category or you're in the industry where your ads would be classified as sensitive, my advice would be just to go on the Gmail Help Center page and just check out whether you're allowed to advertise on Gmail or not. So a category that's kind of most frequent, I guess, in the Baltics market is paid-in loans, for example. They're not allowed to be advertised in Gmail. And also, for example, medical services and products, and also in addition to that, sort of pharmaceutical, products or supplements. So supplements, that's also a tricky category. So you can find, in relation to Gmail, all the policy on the Help Center, and in terms of sensitive ads, you can find that on the AdWords Help Center. So what will be classified as sensitive ads, but we're also going to add a link at the bottom of this video.
Cool. So let's move on to YouTube ads. So YouTube, something new and kind of the platform that's growing more and more in Baltics. It's a great kind of like addition. So let's say advertisers that have TV ads or new advertisers that think they need video just to communicate in the best way. So some of the things that ads might get disapproved for, if we go to the slide for them. So YouTube. YouTube is a new, let's say, well, it's not very new, but one of the more interesting and growing marketing platforms digitally with Google AdWords. So especially good for advertisers that have TV campaigns running and they want to reach out to a younger audience, as well as new businesses that have decided that visual, kind of audiovisual is the way to go and to promote them. So there are some reasons why ads might get disapproved. So in this case, one of the first ones is shocking content. So that's really following up on what we spoke about Google Display Network ads. So again, it's something that's just the policy team is reviewing for. An example that I can remember is I was dealing with a client who had a YouTube gaming channel, and he was promoting this channel. And he was playing a lot of first-person shooter games with a lot of gameplay footage. And, you know, things like blood, gore, excessive violence, it's real or simulated. We look at both. So it's something to be mindful of when you're running YouTube ads. And the next point is about unrealistic and unavailable promotions. So again, same kind of things that we talked about, Google Display Network. With, I guess, another addition would be unavailable promotions. So actually promoting services or products that are not available, you know, that people can't buy or can't apply for.
So let's say you're an e-commerce site and you're, I don't know, selling some soap, right? And you're advertising that soap on YouTube. However, you're out of stock and you're advertising still on YouTube. And then, for example, on your backend, you can see that, oh, that this page is not available. The system tries to go on this page. Actually, the product is out of stock. This is what we look at. I mean, and then your ad might get disapproved because your product is out of stock.
So just to add to that, if let's say you have a page that's not working, AdWords would normally also kind of stop the account just to stop you from paying for kind of ad activity that leads nowhere. But I guess maybe a more even realistic example in the sense that more relatable example, if let's say a retail business is advertising 80% kind of off deal for, let's say, soap, and the person thinks, wow, that's super awesome, and they go to the site and it cannot be found and it's nowhere. So you've just used this deal just to get them to the site and actually not offering it to people. So that would really be a clear kind of textbook example of unavailable promotion. And then the third point,
where ads are actually approved but do not run. So we thought to actually include this example because a lot of advertisers think that the ads actually are disapproved, and that's actually the reason why they're not running. So what you would see in the account is that this particular ad is approved, but for various reasons it can't run. And actually, what happens a lot in the Baltics region is where you're trying to put, let's say, super low bids of, let's say, 1 or 2, 3 cents for a particular ad on YouTube, and then you would maybe also limit the frequency you're going to show to that user and exclude particular demographics. This is actually very good targeting, but it might not find enough people based on your settings, based on your targeting. It might not have enough people to show the ad to, so the ad won't run in the end. And what happens is then the ad is approved, but you will see no impressions, no views, like getting for this ad. So the advice here, I guess, is to increase the reach. So either you increase the frequency capping, just the top of the bid slightly in the beginning, and add additional demographics or anything else that you have excluded. So put that back in. But there has to be a minimum number of users for a particular ad to be shown, and it varies case by case. But setting, I guess, putting a narrow targeting in the first place, this is not the best advice. So have a broader reach in the beginning, and then narrow it down, let's say, a few days down the line.
Okay, and just to follow up on what Vadims was saying as well, I see this very often in cases where there's multi-level targeting. So let's say it could be context, interests, remarketing, and let's say at least 3 different target and bid methods, which by itself means it's a very highly targeted campaign. The average cost per view could also go a little bit higher because of the specific targeting, and you're competing with quite a lot of advertisers that are also trying to reach specific demographics. So it's not in the sense that you can't target precisely on AdWords and YouTube. You can just be aware, kind of starting too narrow. What we usually suggest is, yes, just try to be fairly broad. We're not saying target the whole country for the first 3 days and then see what happens. It's just have kind of very clear themes that you're following, targeting methods, and then you optimize. Because it's easier to optimize when you have data. It's very hard to optimize when you're just working with a very, very limited data set that just gives you basically only what you've told it to give you.
Cool. And the last topic that we're going to actually discuss, and which wasn't actually on the agenda as a surprise, is actually talking about the landing page. Because we did talk about a landing page in GDN, Gmail sponsored promotion. So landing page is actually quite a hot topic, and your ads might get disapproved because of the landing page itself, because there's nothing wrong with the ads. There just might be something tricky with the landing page happening. So let's have a look at the main reasons that we get in the Baltics. So landing page, first and foremost is site disabled. So my advice would be always to check the ad status, what it says. So for example, we also see a lot that ads are disapproved because the site is disabled. And there are usually 2 reasons why this happens. So first one is malware. So unfortunately, you got malware on your site, and we are scanning every site once every 24 hours just to see if there's any malware, because we want to make sure that our users don't get that malware. So your site might be automatically disabled. And once you clean that site, your website should be usually automatically also enabled. If not, just get in touch with us.
So in addition to that, with malware, so normally the scanning time can also be more frequent. So it's not just maybe once 24 hours, but basically if you've cleaned up the site from malware, and the system in the 24-hour period kind of doesn't detect any malware, then it should get automatically disabled. There are exception cases where that does not happen, and that's kind of more serious cases. This could be, let's say, a malware in your servers where you clean the malware from your website, but it still gets back. This could be your provider as well. It's always good to check. There could sometimes be cases that we have advertisers calling in very different businesses, but they might have a same provider, and it's actually a server issue in the provider's side. Then the next thing is, to follow up, if it's not automatically enabled, then get in touch with us as well, and then we can do a deeper kind of analysis to understand what is really going on, and then kind of follow up from that.
Yeah, and help you out to make sure you're running your ads.
And yeah, the next point is kind of site disabled, website under construction. This is very, very often it comes up, especially, let's say, businesses have been running AdWords, and then they suddenly do a website change in design or style, or perhaps the URLs change a little bit as well. So in a sense, so your ads would not be running to a website under construction page. Site might get suspended. That will stop all the ads. In a sense, it's, I guess, super kind of useful for you that if you don't want to spend ads just going to nowhere. So that's I guess one of the main reasons.
Yeah.
How it's done, I guess the solution to that. Would you like to?
Yeah. So if a site does get disabled, then you definitely have to get in touch with us, because we would be the only ones that would re-enable your site. The other way is, of course, submitting your site on the help center for it to be reviewed straight away. So either get in touch with us via phone or just fill out a form on the website. I guess sort of just looking at what else I experienced when the website is disabled is when our actually robots can't scan your site because you actually disabled that functionality that your domain can't be scanned, or a particular page on your site can't be scanned. So all pages should be scannable and indexable. And if that's the case, then it's all good. If you have for some reason disabled, then your ads also might get disabled, because the Google robots will be crawling your site as well on a quite frequent basis.
So in the case when you're dealing with robots.txt, so the indexing system, you can of course exclude specific pages in your domain that you don't want indexed. But usually the site disable or site suspended pops up if the whole domain does not allow any kind of indexing. So we don't know what's actually, we can't see what's on the site that you're advertising.
But it also looks at what sort of percentage, I guess, of the content is disabled from the robots as well. So if it's one page or a couple pages on the site, that's okay. But let's say if half the site you're actually disabling from the robots, it really depends case by case. We'll have to look into it. But you would know if it does tell you that site disabled, just get in touch with us. We can have a look at it to see what's happening. Or instead, you can have a look at it yourself. So just put the example URL that you have of your site, and put a slash in the end, and put just robots.txt.
Sure.
Cool. So let's look at the next category, which is content abstractions and what that's all about.
So sure. So there are kind of two things that we mainly notice. And by the way, these things that we talk about aren't the only things that that might play a role. But we're talking about things that we kind of noticed more in Baltics. So first one would be mandatory registration, or in a sense, login gate. So you have this cool offer or anything like that. You're running either on text ads or display or YouTube. A person thinks that's you're selling the coolest thing ever. They go to the site, and actually they're just greeted by a login screen. So they can't actually proceed further to actually see what is going on, as well to have access to the content you're advertising. So that's really important for the person to have very clear kind of information, what is on the site, what you're actually advertising. So, you know, it's some sites, what they do, yes, they have that landing page, they have all the information. It's very clear, provides value to the user when they click on the ad. They might also have a login part. You know, it could be a login window on the side, but basically the main purpose of the landing page isn't for the person to register or log in. So that's, it does happen sometimes from time to time. And it's something that will result in kind of landing page, well, site suspension or ad disapprovals. And then another point is landing pages with the main purpose to lead to another site. So in a sense, a bridge page. So you're advertising, again, a domain, for example, or a landing page. And when a person lands on it, the only functionality they have is just to click away to a different domain or just somewhere else to a different site. So a site would not serve any kind of informational or kind of value proposition purpose. Do you have any points to add in those two?
No. I guess we have another 4 ones to go. So let's move on to about unrealistic, unavailable promotions. So we discussed that for, I guess, in different networks. So we elaborated on that quite a bit. But one thing is when it relates to ads, and the other thing is when it relates to your landing page. So we covered this already. I'm quite certain you already know by now what you need to do about the landing page. So always think about asterisks. Don't overpromise. Don't guarantee. You can say things like it can improve, it could improve, and then make sure you also have a disclaimer at the bottom because the results always may vary.
Sure. So definitely. So next 3 points. These are quite important. We could spend an hour dealing with each one of them. The policies are quite extensive in terms of medical services, healthcare. But let's say, again, this is something that's being kind of monitored and looked at. And let's say some countries also have specific restrictions. So very relevant, I guess, in Baltics would be that Russia does not allow medical service advertising. And, you know, for some advertisers, that's been a surprise. You know, they call up and they say that their campaigns in Russia are not working. It's just a policy as well. Policy from ad side and policy also from the landing page side, how it mixes together. So we'll actually link to the information down below in the video description about the medical services and healthcare related content and services. And there are sensitive categories themselves. Some of them can only appear in very, very specific instances. And some of them will actually not be able to appear. This could be from the services provided. This could also be from specific components of, let's say, a product that's also monitored. Do you have any addition to that?
No, I guess if you're just looking at here at the last point where it says each landing page is reviewed on a case-by-case basis, that is actually true. So we look at every landing page separately. It might be reviewed by the system or manually by a reviewer. We want to make sure that you're advertising with us. We want to make sure that you are abiding by the policies. Yeah, that everything works really fine by you. So just get in touch with us. We can help you with the content to look maybe what's not going so well on the site, what can be improved in terms of the content, what do you have to do really to make sure that, hopefully that at the end of the day you can advertise. So maybe there's just a few tweaks on the site that you have to do. So it really depends on the case by case. Sometimes a particular website can't be advertised on AdWords and there's actually nothing you can do. But there are cases where if you will make content changes, you might be abiding by the policies, and then yeah, you can actually advertise with us at the end of the day.
So yeah, I think that kind of wraps it all up. Kind of the last bits is yes, they're reviewed case by case as well, just to see if they are abiding by the policies. So my kind of suggestion would be if you're dealing with any of these topics, go to the Help Center, Policy Help Center. Just make sure you go through the relevant sections and that you meet these policies. So use them as guidelines. And
if you don't know how to find it, google.com. If it says site disable, just put AdWords site disable. It will find you the right link. It will be usually the top link there. So you don't necessarily have to give us a code, but I mean, you can find information yourself online. Because this is what we'll refer to as well. So whatever it says externally in the Help Center, this is what we follow. We'll have the same sort of policy on our side. I mean, there's nothing that would change. The only difference, I guess, is that we can try and help you to make sure that you abide by the policies, and then you can actually advertise with us.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's really it. So
if there's anything, give us a call. I mean, send us an email. We'll gladly talk about ad reviews. If it goes slightly too slow for you in terms of ad reviews or anything like that, we're happy to help you out, have a look what's happening there. Yeah, it's really up to you to make sure you give us a call anyway.
Cool. So thank you very much for joining this webinar. Hopefully this has been very useful for you. Just shedding some light about how the review process works, what are kind of the main points that we've noticed in Baltics. And perhaps this is going to save you kind of headaches of just thinking what is going on and why the ads are disapproved or why the site has been suspended. But as well, use this as a reference material. Be super useful if you have a look through. And if there's any kind of other things, you know, we're a phone call away. So for all 3 Baltic countries.
Dial up.
Yep, let us know, and we'll be super happy to help. Yeah, cool.
Hope you enjoyed, and see you in another webinar. Bye-bye.
Bye.